Hello. In this video, I will be going over Spy Review number 7. Some of you received the paper copy of this on Monday, and you got an early head start. Some of you might have finished it by now, so you're just using this as a way to check your answers. And then some of you maybe didn't receive it or forgot about it, and now you should watch this whole video on how to do it. Again, it's Spy Review, so it's basically just reviewing old problems that you learned or old material that you learned in class, not necessarily the same problems. Um, and let's get straight into it. This was number 1. In which quadrant of the coordinate plane would the point -10, 30, and 1/2 be located? Quadrant 1, 2, 3, or 4. So pretty straightforward. All you have to do is really mentally visualize where the point is. So, as we did in class, always start at the origin. That's our starting point. And then -10. So the first number tells you to move right or left. In this case, you're moving to the left because it's negative. Negative direction is to the left. 30 and 1/2 is the second number. So the second number tells you to move up or down. Since it's positive 30 and 1/2, that means I'm moving up. So maybe it's right here somewhere. Might not be there. We don't know for sure. There's no numbers. But that doesn't necessarily matter. All that matters is what quadrant will it land in. And according to this, it will land in quadrant 2. Quadrant 2. To assist your understanding or to assist your I would say your reasoning, I would maybe draw something like this onto the graph or put with a point where you think it'd go, just to explain your reasoning. Well, I know this multiple choice doesn't say explain, but that way we can take a quick look at it, and in the future, any teacher doesn't question whether you understand it or not. I can easily see that, hey, this student understands that they're going to go left and they're going to go up. So that's why it's quadrant 2. Simple, to the point, and let's move on. This was number 2. Point R is graphed on the coordinate grid. What are the coordinates that best represent the location of point R? Drag and drop the correct number into each box of the ordered pair. So most students are able to tell me what are the coordinates to point R, just not in the right format. Let me explain to you what I mean. So most students understand that, hey, it's 0, we're going to the left, and then we're going down. So first number needs to be negative because we went left. Second number needs to be negative because we went down. Now, how many units did we move to the left? Well, if I zoom in here very closely, so 1, 2, 3, so I'm at -3, and then another halfway. So it's halfway between 3 and 4, -3 and -4. So that means it's probably -3.5. And then how many units did it move down? So once I got to my corner here, I went down 1, 2, 2 points, so -2. Now the problem, what I mean here is most students got to this point. So you see the -2 right here? Clearly this was a drag and drop originally. So you would drag -2 and put it here in the second one. The problem is that there's no -3 and 1/2. Notice, no mixed numbers, because again, mixed numbers are kind of useless. It's a made-up thing in mathematics that supposedly makes fractions easier to understand, but it doesn't really happen that way. So that means we need to change this mixed number to something else. Now, your first thought might be, well, let's change it to a decimal. But then there's really no decimal, so that's kind of also useless. Not that decimals are useless, but converting it to this. Well, let's go with it. Maybe it'll make things easier. Negative 3.5, negative 3 1/2, same numbers. So it doesn't really help. So let's try something different. I'm gonna write negative 3 1/2 on its own right here. Alright, negative 3 1/2. That is a mixed number. It can be changed to an improper fraction. If you notice, some of these fractions are improper. Now, when I was asking some students on Monday, a lot of students said this. Negative 3 1/2 is the same thing as negative 3/2. Negative 3 1/2 is the same thing as negative 3/2. This means you have 3 full units. So let's say 3 full circles. And then a half circle. This says you have 3 half circles. Kind of hard to draw. I'll use the shape feature. 1, 2, 3, and then a half. So if we use this idea of visualization, because you know that I like to explain things using pictures when I can. Negative 3 1/2 literally means you have 3 full circles that are shaded and then 1/2. Now this one over here says the following. This one over here says you have negative 3 halves. So that means I have half shaded. So I don't really need to continue, but you get the point. This picture looks different from this picture. Not really my best option. Now, so let's go through the actual process of converting a mixed number to an improper fraction. The process involves taking the whole number from the mixed number and changing it to individual fractions. For example, negative 3. Negative 3, let's ignore the negative for now. 3. 3 literally means you have 3 whole units. 1 plus 1 plus 1. That gets you 3. But if I'm going to combine things, I need things to be this in the same format. So instead of keeping it a 1, I'm going to write the first whole unit as 2 over 2. The second whole unit as 2 over 2. And the third whole unit as 2 over 2. And I also cannot forget to add the fraction that was already there, the 1/2. How do you add fractions? You add the numerators, which is the top number. So I'm adding the numerators 2 plus 2, 4 plus 2, 6 plus 1, 7. And you keep the denominators the same. Now, since 3 1/2 was negative. My improper fraction has 3 negatives, so -7/2. That is the correct improper fraction that represents the x coordinate of this point. Not -3/2, not this one. And which other one? Some students also said that one. At that point, I think some students were just like, which one gives me the answer the fastest? But this did require a little bit of work. All right, and that wraps up number 2. Number 3. Number 3, part A. Triangle PQR is a right triangle. The triangle has vertices at P, -2, 4, Q, 3, 4, and R, -2, -2. Graph the triangle in the coordinate plane. To graph a triangle, plot all vertices on the coordinate plane. So vertices means corners. So it says put them on the coordinate plane. P, -2. So if I start at 0, I'm going to the left 2 and then up 4. That's P. Q, +3, +4. So start here, go to the right 3, then go up 4. And then R, -2, -2. So go to the left 2 and then go down 2. So this is the triangle that I made. Alright, part A, pretty straightforward. Plot points. Part B, what is the length of segment PQ? So while we've never talked about line segments, most of you that attempted this on Monday were able to get this correct. So when it says PQ, it literally means look at the line that is made up by P and Q and count the units. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So 5 units would be the answer here. PQ is 5 units long. Not too bad, not too bad. In order of difficulty, number 1 would have been the easiest. Number 2, a little bit harder, but not very difficult. Number 3, and then number 2. All right, now this is really old stuff. This area of a composite figure, number 4, and then number 5 was volume. We actually went over area of a composite figure in class though. A metal shop is cutting a rectangular piece of sheet metal with a width of 60 inches and a length of 144 inches. The shaded parts of the diagram represent 2 rectangular sections, A and B, that will be cut and removed. So they're making this piece of metal. They need to cut A and they need to cut B out. Pretty sure for what are the dimensions of section B? So if you notice, A is labeled, B is not. So they're asking me how long is that line? And then how long is this line? I really encourage you to take a pause here and try just to find segments, how long the blue line and green line are. I really encourage that. Again, we went over this in class. Pause now. Hopefully you attempted it at this point for the blue line. So the blue line with the 24 inches here, so these two lines make up the whole section. This is a rectangle, so that means if the top is 60, the bottom has to be 60. So from here to here is 60. So 24 plus another number is 60. Your job is to find that number. So there's a couple different ways. Maybe you want to do like plug and chug. 24 plus some number is 60. Fill it in. Maybe you want to work backwards. Hey, I know the opposite of addition is subtraction. So why don't I subtract to get the answer? Have to borrow. 5, 10. 10 minus 4, 6. 5 minus 2, 3. So that means this side is 36. Now you do the same thing with the green line. So the green line, this plus 36 plus, well, this side is 24. This side is also going to be 24, so I'll label that already. And then plus another 36. The whole side from the top corner to the bottom corner is going to measure 144 because they give that dimension to us here. So now I have this. I have 36 plus 24 plus 36 plus blank is 144. And again, I'm getting these four numbers from right here. 36, 24, 36, and then blank because I don't know what it is yet. Alright, you guys can take a moment to add these together. 36 plus 24 plus 36. There's no point of having these numbers separate. We can add them together. Ten plus 36, 96. I'll put 99. Alright, so now I added all of these numbers together, and now I'm down to this. One number plus 96 is 144. Since I know I could do the opposite, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to do 144 minus 96. 4 minus 6, cannot do, need to borrow. So that becomes a 3, this becomes a 14. 14 minus 6 is 8. 3 minus 9, can't do. 13 minus 9 is 4. So that means my green line would be 48. To get to the 144, I need to add 48 onto the side. So we're looking for the answer that says 36 by 48 or 48 by 36. No, C. Let's move on to part B. Part B. What will be the area in square inches of the piece of sheet metal after both sections are cut and removed? Enter your answer in the box. Alright, so again, they want to cut this big, they have this big piece of metal. The big piece of metal measures 144 by 60. 144 by 60. So to find the area, I'm going to do 144 times 60. I'm going to do this by hand. 0 times 4 is 0. 0 times 4 is 0. 0 times 1 is 0. Then I go to the 6. The 6 is in the tens place, so that means I need to add a 0. 6 times 4, 24. So the 4 goes here. Carry the 2. 6 times 4 again, 24. Oh, this time I'm adding 2, so 26. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 2 is 8. So the area to the whole piece is 8,640. But we have to remember it says after both sections are removed. So that means A and B are going to be cut out. So off to the side, we have to find the area to A, which is 24 by 24. 24 by 24. Same thing, find the area. So I'm going to multiply these. I'm going to need more space at the top. So let me bring it down. 4 times 4, 16. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1, 9. Now, since I'm going on to the next digit, which is in the tens place, got to add a 0. 2 times 4, 8. 2 times 2, 4. Add these together. 6 plus 0 is 6. 9 plus 8 is 17. 1 plus 4 is 5. So the area to A is 576. Now we have to find the area to part B right there, because that piece is also getting cut out. And part B we said is 36 by 48 in the last problem. The bottom is 36 and then 48. So again, got to multiply by hand. 6 times 8. What's 6 times 8? Yes, you listening. What's 6 times 8? 48. Six, sorry, not 6 times 8. 3. 8 times 3 is 24 plus 4, 28. 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 3 is 12, plus the 2, 14. 8 plus 0 is 8. 8 plus 4 is 12. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 4 is 7. And then 1,728. Alright, so lastly, now that I have the area to the big piece and the pieces that are getting cut out, all I need to do is subtract. So let's get the final answer. 8,640 minus 576. Need to borrow because you cannot do 0 minus 6. That becomes a 3. This becomes a 10. 10 minus 6 is 4. 3 minus 7 can't do. Need to borrow. 5. This becomes a 13. 13 minus 7 is 6. 5 minus 5 is 0. 8 minus 0 is... So I took away A. Now I'm going to take away B. Do I have space anywhere? I do not. So I have to erase this. 80, 64, 80, 64. 80, 64 minus 1728. 4 minus 8, you can't do, so gotta borrow. That becomes a 5, this becomes a 14. 14 minus 8 is 6. 5 minus 2 is 3. 0 minus 7, can't do, you gotta borrow. That becomes a 7, this becomes a 10. 10 minus 7 is 3. 7 minus 1 is 6. So the final answer, the area would, after you took away the sections, 636 square inches. But in this case, it just wants to enter, so you would have just put the number. If it says just the answer, you do not need to give me units. Just the number. A pretty long problem. Well, composite figures have always been long problems. When I taught it to you at the beginning of the year, I said these are pretty long problems because there's so many pieces, so many nuts and bolts to this. If you've ever helped anyone build an IKEA cabinet, that's how this problem is. There's so many pieces. You gotta make sure everything goes where it goes. One mistake, and you'll start all over. All right, number 7. Volume. Volume. If you remember volume, this is the formula. Length, so L times width times height. So that means I like to use my highlighters. So length is how long it is. Width, how wide is the front. And then height, how tall is it? So we have to figure out those dimensions in order to start. Why don't we start with the height? So a rectangular prism is packed with cubes that measure 1/4 on each side, and it has it labeled here. So that means each one of these cubes is 1/4. What is the volume of the rectangular prism? So starting with the height, how long is this red line? Well, I see that there's 4 cubes that make the red line. So for height, there's 4 cubes. That means 4 of these fractions, because each cube is 1/4. 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. Again, when you add fractions, you only add the top number, the numerator. That means the height would be 4/4. If you caught that, I added wrong. Covered it up real quick. And then width. So how long is the green line? Well, there's 5 cubes that make up the width. Some of you guys might know that answer. You might realize, yeah, you don't need to keep going, but if you don't, so I'm adding 1/4 5 times because there's 5 cubes. That means the width is misspoke, 5/4 when you add it up. And then lastly, the length. How long is it? So there's 3 cubes there. Length. So 3 cubes would be 3/4. So now last step. Last step is to multiply these. So what is the volume? Again, it's length, so 3/4 times the width, which is 5/4, times the height, which is 4/4. When you multiply fractions, you do multiply across. So 3 times 5, you get 15. 4 times 4, 16. 15 times 4, so 15, 30, 45, 60. 16 times 4, 16, 32, 48, 64. That means this is my final answer. The volume of this rectangular prism is 60 over 64. I forgot my units. Inches cubed, or cubic inches. This one should definitely ring a bell. We spent like a whole week on these. And you got like 3 worksheets with them. And most of you did really well when we did this. You finished rather quickly. And that is it for the spiral view. Again, if you have a paper copy, you probably were right doing the paper copy. If you don't have a paper copy, either because you lost it or because you were not here on Monday or it's at home, you are doing the electronic copy. I shared with you this Jamboard. So you have an electronic copy. I don't have it is not a good excuse. I will be putting this as a grade. I need to put in 2 grades for this week. This is one of them. The other one is just participation for the activities we did during IAR. And I think that is it. I'm going to go ahead and stop this video. There's going to be a second video, but not on this.